Okay, we're here talking about a couple tips for winterizing your home, or something you should do before before the winter approaches. One of them, we're standing in front of a fireplace over here. We highly suggest that you, if you have a real wood-burning fireplace, that you have a chimney sweep. Check that fireplace. And our recommendation is every year, have them look at it. And if you have a gas fireplace, make sure you start that, have it inspected. We recommend that you have the local installer check that fireplace for you before you turn it on for the year. That way they can make sure that all the venting is done properly, the gas is coming in properly, the flames are proper, and you won't have any problems inside the house. Okay, I was standing here looking at this grill in the floor. Remind me of another tip for winterization, and that is to make sure you have your HVAC system, your furnace checked. Have a qualified HVAC contractor come out and look at it to make sure that everything's working properly. We use a lot of dual fuel systems anymore, a lot of geothermal, and they do require maintenance, kind of like us. We have to maintain ourselves. Our systems have to be maintained also. I see the water hose running out here from the home that we just did an addition on and did some remodeling. We can't emphasize enough that you need to unhook these hoses in the fall, early fall. Every evening, every morning. You can hook it up, use it while you're using it, but when you get finished and turn the faucet off, make sure you unhook the hose. And the reason for that, and I brought a prop, this is a frost-proof sill faucet, and this is one that's not frost-proof, and they're on many houses. Many years ago, this was all that was put on. Since the late 70s, early 80s, they started making what was called a frost-proof sill faucet. This goes back in the wall, so this area is heated, and when you turn this off, the water drains back out, so the water can't freeze in here and break the pipe, which these used to have the pipe come through the wall, and when you turn it off, it got really, really cold. It could still freeze inside that wall. What happens if you don't unhook the hose, though, is this cannot drain. The water actually siphons back up and stays in this stem. It freezes and you get a break in the pipe. And especially this time of year, you get into September, October, November, and especially in Louisville, we get a lot of temperature swings. So it's easy during the day to think that you're at 60 degrees and have no idea it's going to go down to 30 that night. And that's when these things freeze and you get a break in them. Okay, another one while we're standing out here is, and this has just recently been poured and sealed, but we again recommend that you use a great concrete sealer going into the winter. One of the things that we see in new homes that we get asked about quite often is, why is my concrete spalding? Why am I getting little pops in it? Typically, you'll see it sitting right where a car was sitting, and it's because the salt comes off, the salt goes into the concrete, and it causes the term spalding. It causes the surface to pop off. If you seal it, that helps it, but it still doesn't completely eliminate it. So, you know, the salt has to be washed off of a drive. Same thing on the brick over here. When we put the brick steps and walk in, we typically seal that. Some bricks recommend that you don't, so you need to check with that brick manufacturer. This home, we just recently put an addition on it and did some interior remodeling, but it's a great house for me to show you an example of something you should check quite often. We recommend again that you check it yearly, and that is to make sure that all the caulking around the window here is good and tight to the brick. It will move, that's why it's caulked. It has a good guarantee, but you get some expansion and contraction, and it has to move. So we recommend that you check that yearly. Go around it, just make sure all the caulking's in there so no water can get in it, keeps the bugs out. But you definitely don't want the water intrusion. We recommend that you look at that. And while we're here, I'm going to mention one more thing, and that is make sure every year, and this is 2 or 3 times a year, that if you're in an area that has a lot of trees, make sure you keep the gutters cleaned, especially in the wintertime. These have a downspout that drains out into another area on this lot, and if any debris gets in here, this fills up and it doesn't work properly. It can freeze when you get into freezing weather, so we recommend that you keep, even with gutter guards, that you keep your gutters clean and free of any type of debris.